We are live. Live on Facebook. What's going on, boss? Live on YouTube. Yep, we are here. Let's get this fixed real quick. Work with me. In a new location, new stand, so trying to get this together. Let's see. Great day in crypto. Great day in crypto. Let's see. All right, got everything straight. Hey, what's going on, man? Welcome to the Gentlemen of Crypto. I'm your host, Bitcoin Zay, and this is King. Oh no, I'm just kidding. This is just a painting, but yeah, we're back live after a short hiatus. Been back and forth on the East Coast. What's going on, Antonio? Back home in Charlotte. Got a few trips to make up and down the East Coast, get some business stuff done. But I am back, and we got a lot to talk about today. First things first, the obvious. October 26th, today is the Amazon call. What's up, Jamal? BX up in here, boogie down. But the obvious one is we got the Amazon call, conference call, which what's going on, Cali Coins, which if you've seen for a couple weeks, there's been a rumor going around that Amazon may what's up, King? Amazon may accept Bitcoin for payment. And if you know about different businesses, Overstock, Subway, Microsoft, some of these companies that accepted Bitcoin, as soon as they've started saying they accepted, the price has gone up. So a lot of people are really interested in seeing what happens with this call. As a matter of fact, yes, the speculation, like the old saying goes in the crypto market, buy the rumor, sell the news. So what I think we'll see leading up to 2:30 West Coast time, what you'll see is a lot of speculation on buying it, because if they do mention it, I think if they just say the word Bitcoin, the price is going to go up. But on top of that, if they don't, some people, market sentiment may be, oh, well, let's dump it, or let's, decrease my position or whatnot, because in my honest opinion, it looks like it's headed towards that 6,400 range. Just based on volume and the early spike this morning, if you saw it. So I do have the link to the conference call, so you can join it. It's not a closed webcast. It's actually an open one. I have that link. I'll post that once the video goes off. So if anybody's interested in watching it at 2:30 West Coast time, I got that link for you. I'll post it after this video. So I'm not saying it's exclusive, but I will say a lot of people are running around trying to figure out where it's at. But I'll make sure I provide that for you. Do I think Amazon will? No, I don't think Amazon will accept it for payment. What's up, Crypto Q? I don't think they'll accept it for payment. And I think, in my opinion, it would be great, but at the same time, it's one of those things that their infrastructure is so large, it'd be difficult to implement Bitcoin into it as a pure payment system. At most, they'll have a third-party payment system or payment processor that incorporates Bitcoin. I think that's the best we can probably hope for. But I've been wrong before. Let's see, crypto. I'm from Charlotte. Back here now, back at the crib. And King, he'll tell you where he's from, but yeah, he's from Detroit, and we both were based out of LA right now. Just had to take a quick trip back, handle some business. And he's from Detroit. The D, it's so cold in the D, he had to leave and come to Charlotte. But yeah, we went to school together, based out of Hollywood. Yeah, and that's the thing, they already have third parties like Purse.io. It's a few other ones, but that's what I'm saying. They may come out and say, oh, well, we've standardized it and say, well, this is our Amazon product for processing Bitcoin payments. So in my opinion, that's the best you can look for. As far as it, I wouldn't jump at it too much right now, but I will say leading up to 2:30, which is, you got about 4 hours right now. Watch the market, because if you see a big tank right before, somebody may have insider information, somebody may know something we don't know. A lot of the whales, that have a lot of Bitcoin, they tend to play these games leading up to an announcement or right after an announcement. So if you see a big tank right before, you can make a decision, in my opinion, to say, hey, it's going to tank more. Or if it's kind of a forced drop, you can say, okay, somebody's trying to buy in lower so they can get this popping once this news comes out. So a couple different things, but I would say your eyes need to be glued to the charts unless you already have your positions open, like myself or a few other people from way before, so not really worried that much. But if you want to do scalping, or if you have some alts that you want to think about selling, if Bitcoin goes to the roof, you already know it's going to be bloody alt season again. But rising tide for Bitcoin will bring altcoins. So position set, time for liftoff. Yeah, decentralized. I said if you don't have your position set by now, yeah, look at the wicks. You can tell, because if it's a big sell-off and it's a super long wick and what forms a hammer, or if you see it sell off and then you see something called a long leg doji, for those of you, my traders out there, and you see that reversal, it's usually more on a 4-hour time frame. So you don't want to look at these 30-minute, 15-minute charts and think, oh my God, RSI, the MS, or whatever you use, and say, oh, it's going to go up definitely. Make sure you do your due diligence for the next 4-hour candle, or the next 8 hours, so to say, to see what's going to happen with the market, because it should be a good day. But moving on from that, like I said, that's Amazon. I'll post a link. Yeah, 1 to 4 hours minimum. But let's see. While you all were sleeping, a few of you might have heard that our very sneaky Senate, they passed a bill 51 to 50, where you cannot actually charge lawsuits. You can't have any class action lawsuits against the bank as a group. The only way that you can actually, yeah, somebody said something about options. I'll get to that in a second. The only way with the banks now you can sue is through closed door arbitration. So if you have a complaint with a bank, that's huge news. That should be on every single channel right now. This, to me, is one of those things that, like we've always said, we give you all news and stuff. We always tell you, they always do it at night when nobody's watching, or I think they did it, you know, literally at night. Crazy stuff. I mean, this is ridiculous. But and these are the people that call cryptocurrency people criminals, and they're doing this, they're doing that, and banks are. And this is what me and King were talking about earlier. What we're thinking is something even bigger than we thought may be coming, because what rich people do is they cover their tracks before something happens, so that they know if something's coming. Because, for instance, say the economy is about to tank and there's a run on the banks, and they say, well, we don't have your money. Congratulations, decentralized, yeah. But say they say that, and then what happens? You can't sue them as a group. Like you and the other people that'll be standing outside the bank while it's closed, yeah, they'll definitely say, yeah, there's nothing you could do. There's no class action. Hey, Kanisha, thank you for joining. So yeah, just to reiterate, because a few other people have just joined, the banks just passed a bill that you can't form a class action lawsuit against them, no matter what wrongdoing they did. We saw Wells Fargo create, I don't know, 20, 50,000 fake accounts. The final numbers aren't even in, but it's ridiculous that, you know, as citizens, we have to look at the banks as, you know, they run it. They run everything. And I think the biggest thing, let's see. Yeah, banks have a lot of power, but it's given to them by people, because what do? We all put our money in banks. We all have to use banks. They've basically taken over to the point where you have to use their monetary system, which is why when people doubt Bitcoin, I always tell them, you doubt, in my opinion, the ability for banks to fail, which is crazy because they've already done it a few times. Because if you don't like Bitcoin as an asset, you can think of it as a hedge against if banks fail or if something goes wrong with the economy. And we're right at the tipping point of a few things. For one, yeah, probably did that. But for one, right now, as far as the GDP overall, we're at that 8 or 9 year mark where it's always a recession. 2000 we had one, 2008, and between 2008 and 2009, and then now we're in 2017. So we're right at that tipping point. And then we have the debt ceiling in December, which is coming. They're supposed to vote on that. And then now we have banks saying you can't sue us just in case we mess up y'all's money again. And that's the thing, yeah. Antonio, you're 90% in crypto. I'm about 80%. So trust me, I've hedged my bets a long time ago because I don't really trust them at all. Like most people, they've you know, figured it out. But for the ones who haven't, who think banks are just, oh, they're here, we put our money in, whatever, they are taking your money, and they will continue doing it with this class action lawsuit because they've been fined $321 billion over the last decade, I believe. But it doesn't matter. They actually made over $1 trillion. So this is what they do. They basically will do something illegal. We'll, you know, do whatever. We'll take the fine. If for those of you, if you want to watch a good show about this, if you've seen the show Billions on Showtime, me and King used to watch it all the time. And Billions is one of those things that gives you insight into how these big hedge funds / banks work in accordance with the law. Because with a lot of these companies and banks, they're too big to fail, like we already know. So they know that they can't actually tank the company or throw people in jail. The most they can do is fine them. but they actually work their fines into their budget. They're basically like, oh, okay, we can get fined this much. Who cares? We can just pay it and then it's over. And they were even complaining. Paul Giamatti was even saying like, yeah, if we just find the money, they can always just pay it off. We're gonna keep going. And that was his big thing about going after Axelrod. But if in real life, that's what keeps happening. They keep paying it off, keep going forward. They print money. They don't have an innovative bone in their body. All they've done. What's up, Symmetry? All they do is they pay the politician. If you don't know the cycle by now, I'm only 28. I've been around a small amount of time, but I've pretty much figured out the cycle of how they do it. The banks pay the politicians to pass the laws to help the banks make more money so they can pay more politicians. It's very, very, very simple. And then when they pay the fines based on money, like you said, that they printed. There actually is a scandal with Goldman Sachs right now that the fine they had to pay back, they took money that they didn't even have from houses they didn't own anymore, from the real estate. So they were taking free money and paying off these fines, so it's not even their money. Like I said, these people aren't gonna learn until they're in jail or they have to actually pay something that's worth the company. That's really big news. I would say if you know anybody who's on the fence about Bitcoin or on the fence about can you believe this? Yeah, this is the world we live in, people. And the more you find out, the more you realize you are not supposed to win. That's the point. They reinvest in oil, pharma, prison, war. Yep. And while somebody said something about oil, if you've heard, in China they're trying to change the oil petrodollar to the yuan. They're trying to do it in their currency. And a quick history lesson, if you don't know, the last two people who tried to do that was Saddam Hussein, clipped, and what's his name, Gaddafi. They both tried to create a currency that was separate from the U.S. dollar and clipped. They both are dead. What I will say is the U.S. don't play when it comes to oil, and as far as it goes with currency, they want to make sure U.S. currency is what people are dependent on. They took all his gold. Oh yeah, clipped, super clipped. And they, in my opinion, will do the same thing with the Chinese. They will not try and, bogart them and kill whoever, but they will, in my opinion, try and figure out a war to start with them. And I think it's what's happening with this proxy war with North Korea. We keep talking about North Korea, where we're actually talking about China. Because if you mess with North Korea, you're messing with China, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And somebody, who was that, Jamal, gold on the blockchain. Funny you say that. Just moving on from that, because like I said, everybody kind of knows, their history, but gold on the blockchain. At the Money 2020 conference, BitGo and Civic partnered up because RMG, the Royal Mint Gold in the UK, they're trying to back cryptocurrency with gold, or their own cryptocurrency with their own gold. So at that Money 2020 conference, they actually just decided to create the RMG, and they're going to use BitGo, plus they're going to use Civic for the Know Your Customer laws that they have. And what does it say? Yeah, China sees what the U.S. has done in the world, said it never happened to them. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But yeah, the Money 2020 conference, that is a big partnership between BitGo and Civic. I honestly think both of these companies are pretty good so far for what they're doing. Use BitGo. We've talked about Civic a few times. It's in its own class right now as far as how they ran the ICO, how their businesses run. Yeah, Reagan by Killer Mike, great song. Yeah, he lays it all out. It started with oil, cocaine, whatever else, and that's how it goes. But yeah, so BitGo and Civic partnership. That's a big thing right there. You may want to. You've seen Civic jump a lot. BitGo as a company, I've followed them for a while. If you know a guy on Twitter named Lopp, L-O-P-P, he's very popular. He's a lead engineer for them, for BitGo. Very good company right there as far as keeping your Bitcoins offline and being able to store it in a secure space for businesses and for consumers. So good partnership there. However, if there are governments who are trying to back cryptocurrencies with gold or trying to back it with whatever, we're going to have more of the same. They will be profitable for some people, but you will see a lot of the same, around the way type antics where they're like, yeah, we give you rules, but we don't follow them. So just look out for that. And somebody said the play for China is Africa. I've seen that a lot lately because they're already teaching Mandarin in South Africa. If you don't know, they're trying to, I don't know if they're trying to wipe out a lot of black people, but they're definitely trying to build infrastructure so that they can be there as well, because we all know Africa has the most resources in the world in the ground. And if you actually, Jamaica, yep, if you actually look at a lot of the way that we perceive Africa and the way people think about it. They always base it on poverty. They always base it on there's something wrong with the African community. No, there's obviously something good there, because China is not going to mess with it unless it's solid, and they want to make that money. And they are everywhere right now. China is definitely, the resources that the future relies on. Absolutely. China and Africa, yep. And King probably knows better than everybody here, because he's been around it. That may be the World War III, the fight for Africa. And let's see. What's up, Bradley? Let's see. What's the hype about Amazon? Oh, well, it's a conference call at 2:30 West Coast time. They're supposed to either mention Bitcoin as a payment system, yay or nay. Either way, it looks like the market is going to do some big moves. It already made one big push this morning, past 6,000. I was up to watch that live, and it was crazy, because a lot of people were calling short, like this is the top, it's not gonna reach it, and then boom, went right past it. So I'm looking for it. It's kind of more in a bullish sentiment right now. It's bouncing off a few different things. So I mean, you have to do your own research. I don't want to tell you to buy it and then you're like, oh, it dropped off a cliff, because I'll be watching it right up for scalping. I already have my position long term, so we'll go from there. So that's, if you're wondering about Amazon, I'm gonna post the link so you can watch live as well. So let's see, the U.S. Yeah. So as I said, King, if anybody knows about what the Army and Navy armed forces are planning to do, he's been around it. He's seen it firsthand, and he's seen when they get on TV and tell you lies. So trust me, a lot of people will say, "Oh yeah, this is happening," and we'll just kind of laugh with each other like, "No, that's not what's going on right now." They do a lot of deflection and misdirection. They're investing in infrastructure, yeah, and they bring their own people. I always say, if somebody offers you free stuff, it's not free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. I'm sure they came in and offered the governments or people ahead of the governments, because there's still corruption around the world. I mean, no matter where you go, I'm sure they came in and was like, oh, well, we'll give you a bunch of money and let us set up our infrastructure. And when we set it up, all your people are going to be consumers now. So it's not like we're actually helping. They didn't hire a bunch of African workers and rebuild the economy. They're bringing in their own people. Like as you can see with the Puerto Rico. I mean, we do it. With Puerto Rico went down, it was terrible, the hurricane or whatnot. But we hired a company out in Montana to do it, who's the friend of a friend, of course, because nepotism and being a part of the M Club is undefeated. Doesn't matter how much or how much you could do. If people want something cheap and they want to get their friends paid, they do it. That's all it is. This isn't some big secret now. At this point, if you don't know, you're either not looking or you don't care. So at this point with cryptocurrency, in regards to that, like I said, it's always a good hedge. And a lot of the news that we're putting out is international based, because this is not something just in America. Let's see, Series, yeah. When it's time to get them out, keep the infrastructure in place. It's time, yeah, we'll see, because the plans they have, you'll see. But yeah, it's international currency. For those of you, like I said, some people joining, Bitcoin is not local to US. It's not some US thing. It's everywhere. So you have to be knowledgeable about other stuff. If you haven't really looked up international history or how stuff works, one of my favorite things about Bitcoin is it forces you to. You learn history, you learn about economics, you learn about math, you learn how to trade, maybe a little coding stuff. So Bitcoin is kind of an all-inclusive way to learn all of that. The altcoins go up. That's what I was gonna say next. For investment-wise with Bitcoin, I know we were talking about that with Amazon, but watch the altcoins. Some of the ones that have been chilling and look like they haven't been doing anything. Check your charts. A lot of those are breaking out. They started breaking out, but they may have taken a dip because of the coming news. But in 4 or 5 hours, we could see a good resurgence of altcoins. But make sure you're not just buying willy-nilly. Do your research. Like we always say, we never promote altcoins as a definite win. We do say that long-term, a lot of stuff may work just based on the way it goes. But hey, actually, we should go from there. So the UN wanted the international currency. Yeah, in 2012, the UN brought it up because of Bitcoin. That's what people don't understand. A lot of the stuff came because of Bitcoin. Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, international cryptocurrencies, the UN, everybody trying to create their own coin, go to cashless societies. They all came after Bitcoin. You got to remember, Bitcoin is the king right now. Bitcoin was the first one. It has the longest chain, the most support, and like I said, it has a great community behind it. The altcoins that are coming up behind it, they have some of the similar things, but they can't really duplicate it because you can't beat the original. But as you said, UN, IMF, you've heard the IMF chief. She came on and stated that they were trying to create their own currency. Everybody is. I mean, if you have the ability to create wealth based on the currency you use, why not? But the problem will be, like I've always said, the fight, we've always said, centralization versus decentralization. Do you want somebody to control it, or do you want to have control over your own life? And I think most people will go with decentralization in the long term. Because right now, some people feel scared. You know, what can I do? That's why we're here. That's why people who are out there putting information are doing it. So before I go on, let me go ahead and give out the winner for last week's or for yesterday's comment was Alpha Robbins. His comment about 3 people not to trust in the Bitcoin space. And, you know, like I said, if you're in the Bitcoin space, you've seen a lot of people who promote, you know, different stuff. Like I said, I don't use BitConnect. I don't know. You know, I put a little bit long time ago. I haven't looked at it since. It just didn't look right to me, so I don't know what's going on with that. Has been a big uproar about BitConnect and some other stuff, Bit Petite. And I've seen from since 2013, since I started, I've seen so many scams come across. It's ridiculous. So do your due diligence. Don't click on links sent to you, phishing sites and all that, because they'll mine in the background of your computer, all that stuff. So just make sure you get what works, look at the community, what people are saying, and then go from there. So thank you, Alpha Robbins, for your comment on that. So let's see. And today, let's see, is Satoshi white paper was problem reaction solution from the jump, knowing that, yes, Jamal, actually most people, oh yeah, and Alpha Robbins, put your address again so we can send that to you, your public address. Last one didn't work. But Jamal, that's funny you say that. Most people don't realize he actually, there's a picture of the front page of the newspaper in the UK where it showed the economy tanking in 2009 on the correspondence between him and a few other people. So he obviously was looking at that paper right before he started mining Bitcoin in 2009. Because I think people have been working on this for years. You know, Nick Szabo, Adam Back. If you don't know these people, get familiar. Hal Zen. These people have been working on smart contracts and eCash or a sort of payment system. Using cryptography. They've been doing this since like '98. So this isn't a brand new thing. So when he figured it out, or when they figured it out, what ultimately happened was they saw that cash was going away. I mean, our economy was getting to a point where it almost cost $1 to print $1. And once you get to that point, it's a cashless society is inevitable. You know, a lot of the Fed Reserve, IMF, they've been talking about cashless society for years. They really just now are implementing it because they have a way to do it. But the cashless society has been something people have talked about for a while. So I will say, Jamal, I think Satoshi had that in mind when he wrote that white paper, and that's absolutely why the decentralized portion of Bitcoin was the most important part, because that means you can have he invented decentralized trust. More than Bitcoin, he invented decentralized trust. So you got to remember, overall, being able to trade with people around the world without trusting a third party is something that has never been done before. So when he saw that it was coming and he invented it, I'm sure that was an inspiration. One more thing I do want to say, ransomware. New ransomware is back. We had WannaCry before, and this one is Bad Rabbit. Right now, it looks like they are hitting up computers for $300 ransoms. So basically, like we always say, protect your stuff. Make sure if you have your laptop or your desktop connected to the internet, use VPN. Do your due diligence with your network keys. Make sure they are strong passwords. We always say two-factor authentication on everything. And some of the shit